We've been involved with the James in a lot of different ways. We originally got involved as co-chairs of a fundraiser called Up on the Roof that they've done for many, many years that's raised a lot of money for the James. Libby's involved on their foundation board. And so we've had a lot of experience with the James. It's an incredible hospital, and they do amazing things, and it's one of the finest cancer hospitals in the country.
He and Libby and their whole family have done so much to support the James, and that he was very interested in doing more with Pelotonia. So that was kind of the birth of our relationship. And then over time, we started talking more about his passion, which was engaging his employees in something that he cared so much about. And the idea really grew of kicking off the Germain Peloton this year.
A few years back, decided that I would ride 75 miles, and I've done that for the last few years. I had never really owned a road bike or spent any time riding until I decided to buy a bike and train a little bit to ride the first year.
Pelotonia, our mission is one goal, and we were incepted in 2008. We had our first ride in 2009. So this year for 2016 was our 8th ride. Since that time, we've raised over $120 million, 100% of which goes directly to cancer research at the Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center. We are lucky enough to be able to do that because we're fully operationally funded. Therefore, every single dollar donated by every single individual donor goes directly to cancer research. We don't have to pull a penny of that out. Cancer is a cause that's very close and very important to so many people. So it's really something that we decided was a great way to, take some fun and then work it into fundraising and have some great outcomes.
Last year, I was thinking about trying to get more of our people involved in riding, and thought that there's probably a couple of things that keep people from doing it. One is the fear of having to go out and fundraise, and the other is just not having the equipment to be able to go out and ride. So I thought about it last year. I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and try to recruit people to do it, and be willing to supply them with either the equipment that they need to ride, or if they already have the bike, then I would take that money and put it towards their fundraising and match their fundraising up to $900.
It was really exciting when Germain decided they were going to have a Peloton for the first year this year. Peloton is just a way that we call a team. It's a makeup of individuals that may ride, they may volunteer, they may virtual ride, where they actually don't come on bikes throughout the event weekend. And one of the best things of the Germain Peloton this year was the fact that 39 of those 46 riders were first-year participants. And it's just really great that, Rick stepped up this year and said, I really want to go at it and get my entire group of associates and staff members and community members and anyone that wants to ride under their Germain Peloton involved. Because for us, that's just going to help us, spread the message of Pelotonia just that much further.
Shortly after we sent out the email and I started to get a response from people, I was really surprised at how many people that you work with on a daily basis that have got some story, either it's themselves or a family member, have had to deal with cancer, and I was surprised at how many people, had been touched by it, and because of that, how many of them were really interested in getting out and riding.
The Friday that he sent the email out regarding, opening this up to the company and the offer to help with fundraising or the equipment, it was the Friday before my surgery, and I was having a pretty bad day, just dealing with it mentally. And I opened up the email, I remember it was earlier in the day, 10-ish, something like that, and it immediately turned my spirits. It just, he didn't send the email out to do that, but that's the effect it had on me. And it really lightened my heart, and it was one of those things where I knew everything was going to be okay, but it lifted that cloud from me for a little while. And I think I was the first one to respond to him and said, yes, I'm in.
My first reason for getting started in Pelotonia is my wife's a cancer survivor. And so I always thought, well, what could I do? And so when the Germains put forth the idea of participation, I jumped at the chance.
The first time our team came out to speak to the employees at Germain, it was really just to share more information about Pelotonia and get people excited. And I think it was special for us to see all of their reactions. You could tell there were people in the room who it was a cause very near to their hearts and maybe had been affected by cancer or knew someone who was. And pretty quickly, we all felt the enthusiasm from the whole team.
When I took on this challenge, it was one of those things like, how do I get ready? The Germains provided us with a roll bike company that set us up with some of the really finest equipment, fitted us. So that was first class.
We've had a relationship with the Germains, and they were looking for a sort of a partner in getting their staff prepared for Pelotonia, and we were extremely excited to jump aboard. I mean, this is a very unique thing for a company to be that invested in the success of their staff and doing a ride like Pelotonia. Bike in a Box is a program that we've had for years, and essentially it was our way of selling a gift card. And when we talked about that with Rick, he was really excited about it because it gives the opportunity for those staff members at Germain to come in and get what they want without us sort of forcing a bike that they may or may not fit into really well.
Walking in a roll, those guys are just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, they literally take time from measuring your arm length to your leg length to your torso, and they really fit you. They get you the perfect bike.
Preparing for Pelotonia can be a daunting task. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. So of course the bike is the main thing. We have a laser fit system. We're scanning you in. It's a three-dimensional laser scanner. We take that information, we apply it to whatever style of bike you're looking to ride. We want to make sure it fits you correctly. We think that when it does fit you correctly, you're going to ride that bike more often.
Training for me would be any 15 minutes, any 20 minutes, any hour, any Sunday, any Tuesday. There was lots of rain. 100 miles is 100 miles. So when you ride, you have to be prepared. I will say to everyone, pickle juice is absolutely a must-have. So I learned pickle juice, pickle juice, pickle juice.
I would just get out there and say, the wind and rain's not going to stop me. I got in 12 miles today, whether it would be cold was bothering me or I had a malfunction with my bike, I still found a way to get it done.
I was really, really nervous about clip-in shoes and pedals. I'd never had those before. And so I had, within the first ride on that bike, I had 2 falls. And fortunately since then I hadn't had any.
I think the biggest thing is just spending time on the road, because that was always kind of like my fear is that you're on the open road and cars are zooming by you, so it's a little intimidating at times. The 50 miles is intimidating enough, but when you throw cars going by you and whizzing by you and other cyclists as well too, it's a little intimidating.
The fundraising, we did car washes here, raffles, which were great, and just got the word out. Pamphlets, flyers, that's all you have to do. But you have to stay on it, because it's a huge undertaking as well, not just the riding, but that's a lot of money to fundraise.
A lot of my contributors are people who either were survivors of cancer themselves or had actually done Pelotonia themselves. And they knew how much of a great cause it was. And that was their driving interest to helping me get there.
I did have one donor that was very, very extremely generous. And in fact, he'd kind of seen things transition for me as far as the lifestyle and the changes that I had made. And when he had found out that I was a rider, he really, really wanted to help, and he really got things moving for me. He donated quite a bit of money, and then his company actually matched his donation in full. So it was a really, really big donation for me as an individual, but just the generosity was just almost overwhelming.
A customer of mine I had emailed and reached out to, she had told me that her son had passed away from cancer when he was 30, which I had no idea. It's not really something you get into with people while they're here getting their cars worked on. And so to hear that from her and to hear her story, she sent me a really, really long email along with a $100 donation, which was huge. And to hear little things like that from people, you really feel that connection after they send you something like that and let you know what happened in their life.
Fundraising was rather easy for me, if you will, because I had cancer, and who's not going to give money to me, right? The first year. Next year may not be that easy.
I've always been jealous of all these other teams that have nice looking jerseys when I've ridden, and I've never necessarily been part of a Peloton or had a jersey, so I thought if we were going to put this group together, then we needed to come up with our own Germain jersey so that we could acknowledge or recognize, everybody while they're at the riding.
I loved the whole Jersey atmosphere, to have that family, whether it would be guys riding from different divisions, looking at teammates and knowing they're with us. Everything from the recognition of our stores and what we're about, down to the emblems, the inlays, where it's all automotive parts that people may not have taken the time to notice. I thought it was neat. I really thought it was neat seeing the different organizations from other brands as well, moving together as a group or a family. But it definitely meant a lot to me the day of the event, grouping with my fellow teammates, whether they be from other stores that I know very little or more. I really enjoyed that sense of belonging. There was a lot of anticipation leading up to the day of the event to get that jersey, because to me that was like a step before the actual event, saying we've gotten here, we've achieved what we need to, where we need to be, and this is our team, this is our family, this is how we represent ourselves.
We traditionally have a lead car at the start of each of our different routes, and that really serves as the main focal point. People know that's the start of the ride. It's just an extra way to celebrate. And in the past, we've had different sponsors. This year, it felt really natural to us to ask Germain if they would be willing to sponsor those lead cars. We're so excited about our partnership and growing that partnership, and I think everyone at Germain was really excited about it as well. So it was so valuable to us to have those cars donated, to have them wrapped in our branding. It's incredible for brand awareness. People see them throughout the weekend, driving all around the course, and it was just a fantastic gift. We're so thankful for that. The event that happens the night before the Pelotonia ride kicks off is our opening ceremony on Friday night. This year we had almost 15,000 people join us. So our riders, our volunteers, their family and friends. And it's kind of like a family reunion of sorts. The goal of that event is to bring everyone together to celebrate the impact of fundraising throughout the year, and then to hear some updates about what's happening in our community.
The check-in event the night before was a lot of fun. They have just hundreds of volunteers down at the Commons to check yourself, check the bikes in and get your credentials and whatnot. And just the energy you got from going to that. I mean, you had speakers, you had guest speakers, you had people who were saved by research at the James talking, and to go through all that like the night before, I mean, if you weren't already hyped up, like that was enough to push you over the edge. It was awesome.
I didn't sleep the night before. I was just too amped up. I had maybe 3-4 hours of sleep, and I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been in an organized event like that before in my life. It's hard to describe. It was really the amount of people, the energy. It was pretty amazing to be in the center of all that.
The morning of was at first very nerve-wracking. From the moment I woke up, I was nervous. How am I going to do? What's the weather going to be like today? But once I got there and the whole group's together, the nerves just went completely away. Everybody was relaxed. Everybody was ready to go. Everyone was having fun, smiling, laughing. And we were in line and waiting. It was just like, all right, let's go. Like everybody was just ready to go, and ready to go. Kick this thing's ass, basically. Sorry for cussing.
To go off all together as a team was great. We trained together. We wanted to stay together. It was tremendous. I've never gone through anything like that, and it was so great. I'm definitely ready to do it again next year.
One individual mentioned to me, they said, Mike, I think you've got a pretty good grasp on the training. You're doing really well. But there's one thing that I can't train you for, and that's the emotions. The emotions that you'll experience, especially when you ride through some of these towns and you see these people on the side of the road. They were right. Riding through Granville and seeing the people and the amount of people and their engagement and being involved and cheering the riders on, it's just overwhelming. Overwhelming to the point to where it really tugs at your heartstrings and really makes you, realize how real this is, how big this is.
There were people everywhere. Coming into Granville was huge. I've never seen a town come together like that. I ride to Granville all the time. but I've never seen that whole community show up. It was like the finish line. It was so nice.
Even going through like the farmlands, going up through Johnstown and going up through the hills, there were always people lined up and holding their signs and cheering, and it kept you motivated. It kept you going, and it was an extremely neat experience to be a part of.
One of the biggest moments that stuck out in my head is that we were somewhere between Granville and I think Gambier, and there was a gentleman on the side of the road and it said, "Thanks for saving my wife's life." I mean, that's mind-numbing. It's crazy what this event does and just the awareness that it brings.
Obviously, there's a lot of people that have been touched by cancer that have family members, that have dealt with some form of cancer. So people appreciate the fact that we're willing to spend the time to ride and to raise the money for the James.
Oh, it's going awesome. We just did the first 18. A lot of people here. It's a great event. I'm ready to do some more. Man, it's a great experience, a great cause. Having the time of my life right now.
Great day, great day.
Not too hot.
I think we're getting a good pace too.
It's not near as hot as the warm-up rides. It's good. We're good.
I'm just bringing up the rear, so I got to stay behind and make sure everybody gets here. Otherwise, I'd be way out front.
That's right. We'll see you at the next one.
I started the ride by dedicating it, to 3 of my family members that have passed away from cancer, and a friend of mine that fought cancer and won. And so it's just this emotional thing. I mean, it's literally, changing lives. I mean, it's a very cool feeling as you're crossing the finish line.
We turned the corner, and it was a wall of sound and people cheering. And just thinking about it, I get goosebumps today.
I made the turn, the left turn, and the chute just opened up and there was nobody ahead of me at that point. And I was a solo rider at that, so I had the entire length of the finish to myself and crowds cheering for me and everything like that. It felt pretty good.
Crossing the finish line, all of the people, the bells, the cheering, the chanting, it's just overwhelming. It's something that if anybody has any inclination of participating in this program, it's worth every second.
I've never had tears from riding a bike before, especially at the very end when my dad was at the finish line waiting for me. Being able to ride basically right up to him and kind of have a huge big hug and cry together was something very special.
We made it.
Part of the thing that kept me going is, my wife never quit. When she got her diagnosis, and it was something that will stop your breath, and something that is that impactful and life-changing, but she never quit. And when she never quit, and I'm just on a bike ride, it's one of those things where I can't quit. I can't think that this is tough when somebody is battling cancer. That's tough.
I decided to go with a cape this year, and so all of my donors had names written on the back of survivors, people that had passed, just people to ride for.
Some of my training rides, I would often pass by the actual Wexner Medical Center, and I would look up, and I was huffing and puffing and having a hard time. I'd look up there, and that was my motivation to get off the saddle and stand up on the pedals and put that extra mile in, that extra 2 or whatever.
When Mr. Germain presented this opportunity to us, I'd shared with some people that live in my community, and they were just at awe of the generosity. A lot of these folks actually participate in the Pelotonia as well, and they couldn't believe it. They thought, wow, how could someone who's the least bit interested not jump at the chance to partake in something like that?
he crafted this thing in such a way that he all of a sudden, brought in a whole different group of people, larger group of people that before may have wanted to participate like me, but weren't able to. It just speaks to the quality of the company, the quality of the people that own it and run it, and I couldn't be prouder to work for them, and I couldn't be happier that they did this for me and for the rest of us that joined in.
Just talk about just generous and just awesome people, and that's them. I mean, I'm really proud of where I work and who I work for.
To go from 0 riders at the beginning of the year all the way up to 46 riders just shows that incredible way that his generosity led to the recruitment within the Peloton. And when it was all said and done, when we got to Ride Weekend, the Germain Peloton was actually our largest first-year Peloton across the entire event of Pelotonia, which is a great honor and something that we're incredibly proud to be able to tell people that, the Germain, they stepped up, they did it big, and they didn't back down, and they ended up being the largest of those first year.
We wound up with 46 people that joined the Peloton. I think we had a couple of customers join us, we had a couple of family members, and I think ultimately there were 42 people that rode. And we originally were thinking that if we could get 20 to 30 people ride. So I was really proud of the fact that we had so many people that were willing to participate.
The sense of community, the sense of unity, the team building that went on during the training. It was just, overall, it was just such an engaging experience. We would have meetings, and to see the team come together and the way that we would interact with one another, it was just a sense of unity for such an amazing cause that we know that the Germains are so truly, totally vested in.
It was really nice to see the full picture of how the event works, and just feeling like you're a part of something. I've ridden with many of the local teams throughout the years, and it was, this is what a team is like. So to be a part of that just was a neat experience for me that I haven't had before.
We've truly never seen an example like this before, where a business leader and a community leader will provide the supplies that their employees need to participate in something like Pelotonia. We really believe this is going to inspire so many other business owners and community leaders to do the same thing, to mobilize their communities and their employees, and we couldn't be more excited about that.
For this to continue to be successful year after year after year, you have to continue to introduce new people to Pelotonia. I think there are groups of people that ride for a certain number of years, and they may not continue to do it, year after year after year. So I think it's important to every year to be introducing new people.
You get hooked on it, and I don't think there's a lot of people that do it 1 year and say, oh, I'll never do that again. I think you get a lot of times people who want to keep doing it, and I'm one of those people. I'll definitely be doing it again.
It's definitely something that I think everybody should try at least once in their life. And, who knows? You may fall in love with it like I did and plan on doing it every single year after that. So
it is truly worthwhile, and it is something that can change your life, and it changes other lives, and that's putting my 2 cents in.
The opportunity that the Germain had given me was the opportunity to make a difference, to modify what I was eating, how I was eating it, how I was working out, awareness. I realized, I had a second chance to change the direction of my life from having a background of heart disease in my family. I looked at this as not only an opportunity to help someone else, but also help myself and help my family. I know I'm in better shape physically, mentally, and emotionally for having done it. It was absolutely a life-changing experience.
I'm blessed in so many ways, but I'm blessed that I got to do this, and I got to participate the way I did, and I got the support that I did. And that support goes back to before the riding event. It was the support I got from Rick and the family and the company and everyone here. It's just a nice way to end the major phase of it.
I think what Rick has done is honestly really unique. It's not something that I've ever witnessed at this level before, and I think it's unique for Pelotonia as well. We have so many different groups and Pelotons that organize together for different reasons, but what the Germain Peloton has done in terms of providing so much support to new riders and getting people really invested in the cause. I think that spoke for itself during Pelotonia weekend, seeing the excitement on people's faces when they crossed the finish line and seeing people crossing the finish line in tears. You could tell how much that meant to them, and that's something the whole team should feel really proud of.
I was extremely proud of the number of people that participated and how hard they trained, and the amount of money that was raised. It just completely exceeded my expectations, and it made me feel great.
I'm reminded of the power of the Pelotonia community. A group of people who are accomplishing something together that none of us could achieve on our own. So our next award is our New Kids on the Bike Award. And this year we're so just inspired by what this group did. This is a first-year Peloton. It's the highest ever first-year Peloton fundraising team. They raised over $128,000. They had 46 riders. 39 of their 46 riders were first-year riders. And we are just so grateful that they decided to get so engaged, so involved. The winner of the New Kids on the Bike Award is the team from Germain. Please help me welcome Sarah Jane and Paul Germain.